More than 7 million people are registered as overseas Korean residents as of 2023. In a bid to spread information on the Korean diaspora and encourage a stronger Korean identity, the first wave of the KrossOveR, a group of overseas Koreans, have wrapped up their 6-month-long activities as KrossOveR supporters. So for today's Hallyu People, we are now connected to two of them, Minju and Valerie Youmi Depreytere. Hello, Minju and Youmi.
Hello.
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 All right. Thank you for joining us on the program, guys. Now, Minju, Youmi, last month you wrapped up your roles as KrossOveR Supporters, a program by the Overseas Koreans Cooperation Center, which is an affiliate of the Overseas Koreans Agency. So how was that experience? Why don't we start with Minju?
Yes. Okay. So I took on the role as KrossOveR Supporter in South Africa. The experience was challenging, but also very exciting. When I started, I didn't know how to properly edit a video, and we had to do this on a monthly basis. So it took a lot of time, frustration, and endless trial and error to get here. But then it was also a lovely learning experience, and I got to meet many different people from various diverse backgrounds, and that was just fun all the way. So overall, it was a memorable experience that I'll very much miss.
So lots of efforts there, but also very fulfilling, I see. And Youmi, how was it for you?
So it was way more intense than what I expected. I didn't expect to learn so much. I didn't expect to learn so much about myself as well as about other diasporas around the world. And I really enjoyed the experience. I felt very proud to be part of it and to share my experience as a half Korean, because I'm half Korean, half Belgian. And it even made me want to learn more about my identity. And I decided to enroll in Korean classes after the program ended. So I really enjoyed it.
Wow, joining Korean class. I hope that's going well for you. And Youmi, I heard that your mother, who is Korean, encouraged you to actually apply for this KrossOveR program. How did it start for you, and how were you able to take part in the activities in Singapore, which is where you're currently based right now?
So it was my mother who sent me the form to apply, because in the beginning I didn't really want to. I didn't feel equipped for it at all. But she's the kind of person who she has my back, and she always pushes me outside of my comfort zone. So she was my #1 supporter in this activity. And I decided to not base my content on Singapore-related things, but to base it on storytelling and my own experience and my mother's. So I decided to talk about stories that she would tell me when I was a kid. And that's the main thing that allowed me to learn about my Korean heritage. It's what my mother told me about. So I feel very proud of it, and I was glad to be able to talk about it through my content. It made it relatable, and I think that's what people liked.
Right. Everyone loves stories. I think your mom is very proud of you, and really we're also thankful that you listened to your mom and did participate in the program. But now let's turn to Minju. Just like many Koreans who live overseas, we heard you had experienced some difficulties for being different. So what do you mean by that, for being different? And also, was there any change to that feeling as you were participating in this KrossOveR project?
Yes. So I think people often struggle when they find themselves or others find them to be different from that particular society's status quo or the norms. And I was the same. I often felt isolated, misunderstood, and unable to understand. But the KrossOveR, I think I learned to view myself not merely as an isolated, atypical individual with a different face, different speech, different mannerisms, but also as a constituent of this larger overseas Korean community. Hearing others' experiences, their challenges, their successes, and their efforts to bridge understanding in their own foreign environment, this gave me a broader and a more compassionate perspective. So this program has actually been a stepping stone in transforming these differences from struggles into a shared growth.
Wow, glad to hear that, it has been a stepping stone for you. Now, Minju, you are currently living in South Africa and you've also lived in the UK. How is Korea perceived in those countries? Please tell us, what the image of Korea is like and what is Korea best known for there?
Recently, naturally, as it seems to be a global phenomenon with the Hallyu, the growth of Hallyu, Korea is mainly recognized for its cultural influences in both countries. For example, in South Africa, K-pop and K-dramas are visibly growing in popularity, and I think it's becoming more accessible. For example, I've seen various idol world tour films being released in the cinemas in the cities of South Africa, which is very, surreal. And then Pretoria is also home to the Korean Cultural Center, which is facilitating a great cultural exchange. And this is all contributing towards an image that I dare say hardly existed before, because the general public of South Africa simply did not know much about the country to have formed an image about it. And then, of course, in the UK, Korea has a much wider and a stronger presence with the food, the entertainment, and popular figures like Sonny. And so Korea is very much appreciated for the flavors, the creativity, the innovation, and the global cultural impact that it is making at the moment.
That is interesting, especially because we heard a lot about the popularity of Hallyu growing in Asia and Europe, but we do not hear that often from people from Africa. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting to hear your experience there, especially with the concerts being played at movies, which we also talk a lot about here on the Culture Wave. Now, Youmi, in your case, in what way do you recognize the cultural phenomenon around you? You are currently in Singapore, but also you are from Belgium or any other places you have been. What is your take on that?
So growing up in Belgium, I remember that most people didn't know anything about South Korea. They would mix up everything. I always felt different, and they often teased me when I was a kid because I looked different. But now there's been a drastic shift with the Hallyu, and everybody knows about South Korea. Even if I go to a small village in the mountains in France, I would hear K-pop on the radio. It's crazy to me. So I can hear K-pop everywhere, see movies at the Oscars, and taste a bit of Korea everywhere with the restaurants. And I'm really happy that people get to discover a bit of South Korea. But I think it would be better if they wanted to know it less superficially. I know it's fashionable, but I would like them to know Korea on a deeper level, and I'm happy to be part of the people that can help to share a lot more about Korea.
Wow, and I'm curious, how does it make you, feel, Youmi, hearing those K-pop radios or K-pop songs on your radio? How does it make you feel for you?
I feel proud. I feel really proud. I feel like I've always been very proud of South Korea, but now I feel that everybody sees it as well. So I wanted to tell them, I knew about it, I told you about it. And yeah.
Cool. And Minju, I want to ask you as well, how does it make you feel as an overseas Korean, when you hear about Korean culture, contents being recognized around the world, there is the popularity of K-pop or the Nobel Prize for Literature won by the author Hallyu. How do you feel about that as well?
Brilliant. Just as Youmi said, during my schooling years, my friends barely recognized Korean culture, and I couldn't discuss this with any of them. But now I think I can approach any crowd and mention Blackpink, and almost everyone will know them. So this shift feels so bizarre. And then there is the literature that you mentioned. I think that literature requires a deeper willingness to understand the cultural background of the author and the characters. So when books like Pachinko or The Vegetarian by Hallyu gains global recognition like this, it really tends to sink in deeper. And it's in those moments that I really feel that Korea is growing in its influence, and that makes me incredibly proud.
So Minju and Youmi, both of you, I have to agree to what you just mentioned because myself, when I was in Germany, really many people around me didn't know much about Korea. So now you can feel openly proud about being Korean when you talk to people in other countries. So finally, I want to ask you, do you have any words for Koreans overseas who may be struggling with finding their identity or other difficulties? Minju, you first, please.
Yeah, I think people find comfort in knowing that they are not alone. So I would say know that you're not alone. There are 7 million plus people out there, like you said, going through similar experiences. And they're all winning, failing, and surviving just like you and me. So I would say struggle, but do so in a community. Find content, people, or experiences that resonate with you and keep going until those struggles transform into, as I said earlier, a shared growth. Fighting.
Fighting. And Youmi, your final words, please.
It's not always easy to be caught between several identities. I know about it. And there may be times when you feel that you don't belong anywhere because you have several identities. But the truth is, I think you're a complex and richer person because you belong to several places at the same time. So my final words would be to stay open to exploring and cultivating the various identities that make you unique, that make you yourself.
Thank you very much, Minju and Youmi, for sharing your stories and promoting cultural exchange as well as encouraging Koreans overseas in the search for their true identity. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Bella, as always. And you're going to join us again tomorrow.
Yes, I'll be back tomorrow.